Hey, what's up guys? I'm Ryan from ExtremeTerrain, and today I'm here with the Smittybilt XRC Gen2 rear bumper with lighting for your 07 to 18 Wrangler JK. This is going to be for the JK owner that's looking for a versatile rear steel bumper with lighting that's an easy bolt-on full-width upgrade. Not only is this going to add to the appearance of your Wrangler, but it's going to add a ton of functionality and strength. This is a high clearance bumper with tapered ends, so it's going to give you better departure angles, which is great for those difficult off-road drives. And the addition of reverse lighting is really going to come in handy when you're backing up on those trails at night. This comes as a complete kit and requires no drilling or modification to install. And as far as price goes, it's about middle of the road for this style bumper at around $700. Install is going to get a 2 out of 3 wrenches, since you will need to do a little wiring to power up these lights. However, you can install this in around an hour using simple hand tools. Now with that being said, let's hop into the install. To begin this installation, we're going to need to remove the stock bumper. Now you're going to have 6 bolts total. There's going to be 2 on either end, and there's going to be 2 brackets in the middle with a bolt on each one. We're going to use a 16mm socket to remove all of those. So if you have a stock untouched bumper, you're going to have 2 brackets in the middle. There's going to be a 16mm bolt that you'll need to get out, and you can use a wrench for that. Our bumper unfortunately did not have those brackets, so since we got the end bolts out, we're just going to pull it off. So we have our stock bumper uninstalled, and we're just about ready to install this Smittybilt bumper. However, I just want to compare the two and go over some of the features with this new item. Now the first thing to point out is the stock bumper is plastic, hollow, lightweight design. There's not much functionality to it other than just the aesthetic appearance. If you're looking for some more functionality and utility, you're going to want to upgrade to a unit such as this. This is a heavy-duty bumper made of 3/16" steel, which is going to handle great to any of the bumps and bruises on those trails. And not only that, but it has a 2-stage powder coating, so it's going to protect it from the elements. Now, in addition to the heavy-duty design, Smittybilt has placed these added padding in high-impact areas. Now, this bumper comes with a provision for a tire carrier. So if down the line you want to add a tire carrier, you have that readily available for you. This has integrated D-ring and jack mounts, so you can mount your jack on there. This is going to come in handy for those recovery points in sticky situations, and the mounts are welded on the inside and out for added structural strength. The next thing to point out is this has a built-in Class 3 hitch. This is going to come in handy for any towing that you foresee doing in the future, and it has auxiliary lighting, which is really going to help backing up on those trails at night. So with that being said, let's get these lights mounted in there, and we'll show you how to install this bumper. So first thing we're going to need to do is install this bracket. You're going to have 2 slots in the bottom, and we're going to use the packet of hardware that has 4 long screws in it with an Allen head. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a long bolt, and you're going to put a washer on it, and we're going to drop it down through these slots. You're going to do that on both sides, and then this bracket is going to go in this, and there's 2 holes that the bolts will drop down through. So we're going to place this bracket in here with the open side facing outward. Once we drop our bolts down through, we're going to place a washer and then a nylon lock nut. So once we get both of those in, we're going to use a 5/32 Allen key and a 10mm socket to tighten those up. Now you're going to do the same thing for the other side, placing a washer on the bolt and dropping the bolt through. Going to do that for both sides, and then we're going to place the bracket onto the bumper. So now we're going to slide our light in from the front. Once it's all the way in, we're going to put our retaining clips on. So before we get our bumper on, we're going to need to insert the nut plates. You're going to have two different ones. You're going to have one that's a bracket and one that's a box like this. This box side is for the passenger side. There's going to be a side that has two welded nuts on the inside. That's going to face outward. So we're going to insert this one in the frame here. Then we'll place this other one on the driver's side. And you're going to line these nuts up with these open holes on the outside. So now that we have the nut plates in the frame, we're going to pick the bumper up, set it on, and get some hardware in. I'm going to have a friend help me pick it up, and then we'll get this put on. So using the shortest bolts that Smittybilt provides you for the bumper, we're going to place a lock washer and a flat washer on there. You're going to push the bumper up so you can see those nut plates, and then we're going to try to get these bolts started. So now we're going to do the same thing for the other side. We're going to need to go above the muffler and then through the frame. We're going to stick our nut plate up through and get one of those bolts started. So now that we have all four of those bolts in, we're going to go and tighten these up with an 18mm wrench. This is going to allow us to set the bumper so we can tighten the ends. So now we're going to go ahead and tighten the outside bolts using that same 18mm socket. Going to do the same thing for the other side. So now that we have the bumper on and tight, next is to wire up the lights. So we're going to plug these lights in, and then we're going to run our wiring harness up to the battery. So now that we have the lights plugged in, we're going to need to route the harness to the front so we can connect it to the battery. Now you can either run it up through the body or you can run it underneath. Running it underneath is probably going to be the most efficient way and easiest way. So we're going to send this up over the muffler and the heat shield and then follow some lines down to connect it to the battery. So after you've routed it to the front end, making sure that you're staying away from all moving parts, we're gonna go ahead and find a spot to come up next to the battery. So we're gonna pull this all the way up to the battery and then we'll wire it up. So our negative wire already has a terminal on it. We're gonna need to attach an end to our positive wire so we can attach it to the battery. So since it's already stripped, we're gonna go ahead and take a ring terminal and then we're gonna clamp that on. Make sure that that's a solid connection. And then we can use a 10mm socket to remove our connections on our battery and wire that up. So now that we have it wired up to the battery, the next thing you're gonna need to do is run the switch into the cab of the Jeep. You wanna keep in mind that you are limited to the length of wire that this is. So a good spot that I found is actually right near the brake booster. There's a little bit of foam, you might have to poke a hole, but you can get it through there and then just mount it in the dash. So we're gonna go right through this little foam area right here. So that wraps up my review and install of this Smittybilt XRC Gen2 rear bumper with lighting. For more videos like this, check us out at ExtremeTerrain.com.